All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel where I talk about the Minnesota Vikings. In tonight's video, I got absolutely masturbated uh, um, like an hour ago. JJ McCarthy, there's that viral clip of him evading pressure. People are saying he got sacked, He basically makes like a crazy throw across the field for a touchdown, and that's a clip from last year's OTAs. But nonetheless, this year's clips still do look good. And I was just stumbling. It's Friday night here. I just kind of wanted to riff about the Vikings because when you guys commented saying, "Where's the Vikings videos?" And to be honest with you, I've had a lot of trouble because JJ McCarthy played one half of football last season for the Minnesota Vikings, and it's just kind of hard to clip. So now we finally have some Minnesota Vikings JJ McCarthy content. But I stumbled upon a tweet from this guy called Coach Lombard. I think he used to play, former coach, former writer. Check him out on Twitter. He's very, very small, like 500 followers, more than me. But anyways, he has like an interesting way of grading it, and it's kind of hard to explain without a visual, so I do apologize. But basically, he rates every player, and so 95 is generational, 90 is a difference maker, 85 is a difference maker. I think I just said that word the same. 90s franchise, 85 is a difference maker, 80 is a solid starter, 75 is a projected starter, possible starter, and then number 70 would be a project. And what caught my eye was the offensive line. And just to summarize a graphic, the two tackles, left tackle, right tackle, Brian O'Neill and Christian Darrisaw were both franchise guys. All right. And then everybody on the interior, Ryan Kelly, the new center, Will Fries, the new right guard, and Donovan Jackson, the new left guard, they're all difference makers. And it got me thinking, oh my goodness gracious, the Minnesota Vikings offensive line was so revamped. Now, you guys know I'm a Green Bay Packers fan, right? But I do like the Minnesota Vikings. I do like, honestly, all the teams in the NFC North. I feel like I'm just kind of an old school football guy. But the Bears, like, not to rag on the former state that I used to live in, but the Chicago Bears, obviously every offseason winner, once again, not to rag on this team, but they got so much press and so many headlines for all the moves they made on their interior offensive line. And obviously, I don't need to tell Vikings fans this, but if you guys didn't watch, many last year in the playoffs, or especially towards the end of the season, once your left tackle was done, once he got banged up, like in the first, what was it, like 5th or 6th game of the season, and you had to make that move for Cam, the left tackle from Jacksonville. Even without your star left tackle last year, it wasn't even the issue. The issue was more on the interior offensive line. And so, we've covered Minnesota this entire summer, and I made a really big deal out of Ryan Kelly and Will Fries because those were like, boom, boom, like, geez, they got Ryan Kelly and Will Fries, and I'm looking at, like, what are we talking? Like Jonah Jackson to Chicago, Joe Thuney to Chicago. We're talking about all these guys to the Chicago Bears. Dude, the Vikings have star left and right tackles, and now their big issue last season offensively, the interior offensive line, is literally loaded. And it was really interesting in retrospect, actually, now, like looking back in hindsight. People had so many concerns for Minnesota once their season ended, right? Tough playoff loss in the first game of the playoffs. And then the lingering question became, okay, well, Sam Darnold, are they going to re-sign Sam Darnold? Are they going to pay him $40+ million a year? Are they going to go for an Aaron Rodgers or Kirk Cousins or... I'm sorry, I really did not mean to say that. Are they going to go for an Aaron Rodgers, or are they just going to hand the keys to JJ McCarthy? And that Kirk Cousins comment really threw me off. But the point is, people had all these flaws with Minnesota, when in reality, we just needed a solidified kind of answer with the quarterback position so we could move forward with that. And then for me personally, like, yeah, maybe some defensive backs, which we'll talk about in just a second here. And Mekhi Blackman looks, looks the part. People don't really fully comprehend, outside of Vikings fans, what happened in your defensive back room this time last season. Just like insane, just insane. So now we know our answers. And basically, I'm literally ranting on a Friday night. I apologize. The two questions were quarterback and left guard. Those are my questions. Quarterback, left guard. And yeah, maybe some questions on the, center, right guard positions, blah, blah, blah. But then, when Ryan Kelly, Will Fries, and Sam Darnold went to Seattle, it was like, all right, let's see the draft. And Minnesota had, didn't you guys have like 4 picks in the draft? Donovan Jackson, I mean, that was a first round. People put him in the first round. Now, you don't really usually put guards in the first round or maybe end of the first round if they're really solid, but they came away with Donovan Jackson. So I'm kind of in shock here still. Minnesota's roster is literally stacked. Literally stacked. You've got experienced veterans. They are currently investing more than $330 million in their current lineup, which is the second highest in the entire NFL, just behind the Buffalo Bills. So yeah, they're going for it. They're going for it. Even this new offense, and by new offense, I mean nothing's really new about it outside of JJ McCarthy. You still have Aaron Jones. Yep, Jordan Mason's in town, which if you guys been watching this channel all summer, I am amped up. Is it even summer? All spring, I'm amped up about Jordan Mason. I think he's the perfect change of pace back for this team. And Ty Felton, obviously the rookie. Ty Felton, I'm very excited about him too. But the point is, JJ McCarthy has all the tools. And one concern was the offensive line, and I don't have a concern on the offensive line. So when we're talking about like roster projections, or sorry, I should say win-loss projections, I found this stat kind of interesting. In the last 20 years, teams starting rookie quarterbacks have won 40% of their games. That's way higher than I thought. Like way, way higher than I would have thought. So if I were to base the Minnesota Vikings off everything I know, their new offensive line, JJ McCarthy looks good in OTAs, had a phenomenal, I can't emphasize this enough, can't talk tonight. Sorry guys. I can't emphasize this enough. JJ McCarthy in that Raiders game, which by the way, some of that was against starters. He's got a cannon. I mean, 2 touchdowns, the 1 interception. I mean, he was throwing casually like 40, 45-yard dots. And I'm not even talking about just like bombs. He was throwing darted bombs. It's like in the military here. So if rookie quarterbacks have won 40% of their games in the last 20 years, Minnesota's roster is stacked. You guys won 14 of them last year. I would probably say what I'm looking for many this season is at least 500, but I think we can start talking about a possible 10-win season. Now, I did want to talk about the defense, and then we just kind of started to ramble. What I do just want to say about the defense really quickly is keep an eye out on this defensive back room, because it is not what it is last year. So Josh Metellus had a phenomenal season. He's back. Harrison Smith, right? We all know him. He's back. Byron Murphy, stud. He's back. All right. Well, Mekhi Blackman's healthy now. And I wanted to make a whole video on Isaiah Rodgers because his career got ruined from gambling like 2 years ago. And then last year as a backup dude for Philly, he was unstoppable. He was unstoppable. And obviously it goes, even a little bit deeper when we could get in Jeff Kudas and stuff. But my point is, man, I don't really know if they've lost a step. It seems like, if anything, they've gained steps, all right, which is crazy when you win 14 games and then you have a different starting quarterback. So I'm amped. I hope you guys are too. Thank you for watching. Hit that like button, hit that sub button. We'll see you guys later. Peace.